Good afternoon. Thank you very much for welcoming us. We will try to explain cybersquatting and consider a solution. We have two approaches ready, and the idea here is to convey a concept. I'm Wiktor Nykiel, and this is my colleague Iván Portillo. The presentation has been structured into the following bullet points: concept, cyber squatting, and dominion. So based on the information that we have, we'll see how we gather it, how we handle it, and tools. We have a solution that you can have later on, and another one that we have offline, so that you see how it can be detected. The same with Switcali, that you probably know, where you have open source tools that we will also summarize as well. For those of you who are streaming, we have a Telegram channel on telegram.me/cybersquatting. That's what is open. And for Twitter users, you see that on the screen, hashtag Cybersquatting.es. This is the way for you to ask questions or continue with the project if you find it interesting. I'm Wiktor Nykiel. I'm the senior manager at EY for the financial services security. I was also manager at Global D. I was a startup entrepreneur for security, focusing for security, and I've also taught cybersecurity at the University of Alcalá. Iván Portillo is my colleague here. He's also working in our department. He's an expert in cyber intelligence. He's a senior analyst, and he's worked with different multinational companies as part of managed security services, and right now, as we said, is working at IY with financial services. He's also been co-founder together with me, so we've been working together for a long time now, and we've been conducting projects for professional life and personal life as well. And our greatest help has been Gonzalo Espinosa, who is not here with us today for the presentation, but he's the one that developed such a beautiful presentation, and the tools that are working has been thanks to him. This has been part of a research project that has been submitted as a dissertation, and he got the maximum score at the university. So it seems we are going down the good pathway rather. So if you've read the introduction, you know what this is all about. So we give you context and examples and regulatory entities and IDNs. So with the presentation, what we wanted to show you was a kind of typosquatting, bitsquatting, IDN Homograph techniques, which might not ring a bell at all. But if I were to say that you use your phone, and sometimes with your finger, or if your screen is crashed, you push the keyboard and a different side as pops up in the says. Lucky you, you've won the lottery, install this. So this would be our approach to the tools that are available and the solution we put forward. As a context, so that you understand what is available. You see 294 million domains registered in 2015, large amount, as they are off-the-shelf solutions, and other for .org, .net, .s. We focused on .s. In our department, we've seen there's not a single solution to find what could be domains that could be squatted. Problem is 1,800,000 domains that are registered so far. Is it serious? Is it not? Well, Facebook got compensation over 2.8 million for a group of people who were using cybersquatting techniques to get control over advertising flows or gathering users. They had to return 100 domains, and the company got the compensation that was 2.8 million. Cybersquatting, what's that? It is a cybersquatting technique. Quite straightforward. When .com started, it was clear that people were registering brands that were not their own and then try to sell them at a high cost. We have good examples of that. People register it as Google, maybe 3 O's, or you miss an S, a dot, and that leads you to a different website that it's advertising. So it's using a digital asset that does not belong to you. In one of the posts for El Lado del Mal, this is a blog, there was an article on Airbnb pisos or flats, and with a dash in between, and there was this website trying to hustle the user, going in through Idealista. So you can go and read the article on my blog. This is the reference. As you can see, this is a platform that through different analysis we found it with a dash, with lower dash, or .s, .com. So we don't know whether those names have belonged to the brand itself. That's what we need to find to make things easier to the analyst or the person who is looking into it, whoever needs the solution then. So this is an example. This is HillaryClinton.net. A case that was sorted out in May 2015. They bought over the domain and they were referencing to her image, so to say, and there are more cases up on the screen, so it seems to be current activity. Typosquatting, as I was saying, this is a way through typo, so misspelling or one instead of an L, and you make the user be mistaken, and so they install any thread in their computer, mobile phone, or scam them, as we've seen with Airbnb. Typosquatting classification. Well, if you change a character, this is already typosquatting. So adjacent character, search and replace or exchange. Then we have bitsquatting. If you're with your mobile phone and you don't have range, you're out of range, oh, we're way ahead of ourselves here. So this it's been a UN, so it's one instead of CNN, it is .com. So this is one of the typical operations that you say, well, you cannot be seen, it is negligible, and Iván will explain how this kind of mistakes might lead to governmental espionage actions or actions for hacktivists. It's just an inbox that gathers all the emails, and even if it's a 1 out of 1 million, this data could be private from the CNI. So this is a practical example from YouTube. You might say someone, Mom, go onto YouTube, and they say, YouTube. And if you go in here, I wouldn't recommend it. They would say, do you want to download the plugin and the attachment for Firefox? It's not ideal, but by using the brand, they use the YouTube logo, and so trying to force you into installing whatever that is into your device. Of all the uses that we have black SEO, if it rings a bell, redirect you somewhere else. You can have sales there, you can have phishing there, you can have campaigns of all kinds. This is all open to imagination, to be honest. This is for sales. One of these uses is registering a domain, whether it's my brand or not, doesn't matter, with a typo, or I add an E dash to the brand, and you see the market is large. And now there is this domain, 15 bits, over 1.5 million. So might not be cybersquatting or typosquatting, but someone got it, registered it, and made it available for someone, and that is county.com. And there you see that people can be very savvy and go for it. Who's regulating it? Well, it seems forest, right? The Wild Wild West, rather. There are organizations such as ICANN regulating the address and the TLDs, which is .com.es TLDs. Who is regulating in Spain? That it's red.es. I don't know if you know about it, but it's the public entity. In Spain, they have domains.es, and they control all the domains that have the .x extension. Then we have internationalized domains. In Spanish, we've added ñ. In Japanese, you see a few characters that, who knows, might be a man running. Then German, and then Chinese. So we've got our own characters that are common to a given country. Some of those characters might look like the Spanish E, or Latin E, rather. But they are not. And this is also used by attackers because they know it by heart. Here you see how the ones are used, how those ones are used. And destinations, Han is Chinese, and you see Latin is 4th. You see region and country, and the most widely used, first Latin, then Chinese, Cyrillic, etc. So any character, any language with a Chinese, Cyrillic can register names the same way we want to register Spain, or anything with an ñ in it that can be recorded. And attackers know that, and they use it as a potential threat. IDN Homograph attacks. Toshiba. So this looks like a T, but it's actually not. It is a Unicode 0304 character that is the T Latin consonant, that it's another Unicode character. So often someone gets this on WhatsApp or whatever, opens it, and it links elsewhere. So download Toshiba documentation from here. So it's malware or whatever, and it's used for social engineering attacks. The user cannot distinguish it or tell it apart, and it works. Then Unicode spoofing is Chinese in writing. And on Unicode, we get citibank.com. You can use it and produce it in Chinese, but what you get in return is a domain that, to the user, it might seem legit. Another example here. You see Google and Google, Greek and Latin, but on the right side you see the characters, and you see there are differences there. I don't explain it because you see it in writing. It seems to be the same to the naked eye, but it is not. Vodafone. First one in Cyrillic, it's a bit different to our Latin V. And now let's move on to Spain's different. So we've got ñ, that's an N with a strike on top. But this is a universe with thousands and millions of domains, and it would be difficult to detect it all. So we wanted to focus our work on .s. We have a manual data extraction. Then we saw there were better ways to do it. We had hash 43 and others like RISP, but manually. So who is 43, sorry, and RISP, and you could use it for other purposes. We decided to go with the good one. You see this domain side, and you can see there is a browser to see, or an engine search to see if it's registered or not. That's a who is. And then the number of total domains, that it's over 1.8 million. What's funny here, as intelligence analyst, is where do I get my data? There is this statistics, which will be pretty useful. For the statistics, you see from 2007 to 2016, all the domains registered every month. You get the location, where they are, and everything else. You see a number of subscriptions, and there is one from November. We try to keep it updated as much as possible, and we will show it to you. So here with the statistics, that this is all made up of PDF files. We download the files that are 600 pages long. And what I do with that, I download all the files with vget, which you know it, that it's a manager. Otherwise, right click and you have it. And we got vget, and we've wget rather, and we have all the domains. In order to parse it, you use different libraries. This one is on GitHub, and if you're interested to do it faster, there is an online demo. You can upload the PDF file and you get the text back for all the domains. You need to use some regular expressions and remove a few items. Could be, but for a large batch it's not advisable. Some other tools such as PDF Box by Apache. These are open source solutions that we've downloaded, we've analyzed them, and in a line we've got all the subscriptions and have been transferred to a text file that we will handle later on. who is 43. It's even easier, and Iván takes the floor now. Wiktor, he's from Poland, and so he's summarized all the information and gathered information in the most difficult way. With who is 43, well, this is a service that is offered by Red.S, where with a single request you just sign in and sign up, and you will have access to what they call Who is 43, which is kind of a tool to gather information on a specific domain. Port 43 is left open for the communication and to get the data that they want. For that, we can have URL of the official website that it's on the screen, and you need some kind of digital certificate, otherwise it doesn't work. Once the request is received, the form, you fill it in, and then you decide the IP where the requests will be gathered, and that's where we have different whois options for a given domain. Then problem is there are only 10 requests per minute, so there is a limitation there. Here you can see on the screen, if I find the cursor, first one on whois.net.s, the one listening in, and that's where you gather the piece of data for INCIBE.s, same down there, but for CyberCamp.s you get the results, a specific result for the domain name, the entry spot, and the name of the one registering it, and the last update. Then, as I said, there was some limitation to the previous mode, but with RISP we can download the whole database and play around with it. Same here, same URL, and we need a digital certificate. You fill in the form, you mentioned that you are gonna run some tests to gather stats, and you go ahead. When you're on the portal, and once the request has been granted and accepted, we will get a file that is CSV, only available for 5 days. After 5 days it will be disabled and no access granted. The database itself has around 1.8 million domains total. So once we've got all the domains, what are we interested in order to relate them and see if they are legit or who they belong to? Often, if you're going to buy, it helps you to see if it belongs to the company that it says is selling the product, because sometimes you get sales from a different domain. On the domain page you have the whois with all the data, because the files that Iván showed, the information is a bit narrowed, and you've got the ID tags and the name and the organization. Here you can check name, technical contact, so DNS servers. But for each attempt there is a catch-up. Another way to get information would be through NSLookup command. There you will get IP, email servers to see if someone's got our server and needs spoofing it, or domain names. If there is a legit organization, if we spot a domain, we can see if it really belongs to the organization or it's been spoofed. If it's within the legit organization with some room for error, we can guarantee that it is legit. Tools that we've played around with. We have them that are open source. The first one is DNS Twist. As such, it's open source, and it was created by Martin from Poland. Somehow, well, it is all about looking into potential threats happening, having to do with typosquatting and also spoofing, domain spoofing. Here you see the repository where it is located. It's on GitHub, and main features is that it has a large range of algorithms that are varied and that will allow you to get a large amount of typographic variations, type variations. I have this acquaintance who is quite fit. He spends lots of hours in the gym, and he's got very large fingers and thick fingers and many typos when he tries to type because he cannot press the button he would like. And same as name resolution, IPv4, and then comparing this specific website that is the starting point. It compares it against variety of typos found, or the typo class rather, and it using these different elements to detect potential phishing that might be happening. Then host DMX checking, as Wiktor said, where you can intercept the email messages when it comes to espionage. Then this is just typical. And this is a screenshot for the tool itself. Here you see all the functions, all the parameters that were available to get a larger amount of information out of it, and this comes from Google. So next, here you see a clip explaining how everything it detects, and first we see domain brand used by Google, and just the rest would be different columns with the typo classes used, and as Wiktor explained, different domain combinations, and it gets us information for each IP, for each DNX options, HTTP banners, and a long list, which is very useful when trying to look into every single case. And the only thing it does not detect would be registered domains. Well, actually what it does is compare them all, even if they are not registered. Next, we have URL Crazy, quite similar to the previous one that has been developed by Andrew Horton from Australia, and the same purpose here, detecting typosquatting, URL hijacking, and phishing. That's what it is. That's the website. And the characteristic here is that you can have a study on the most common errors on a given domain for a given brand to understand how the variation can impact on the brand itself. So there is quite a good protection of the corporate brand. Next, this is another screenshot for this tool, your URL Tracer. This has been included in Kali, no need to do anything else, and it's also available for some Linux distributions. This time around it was Google. You type URL Crazy, simple as that, and it's analyzed already. It's quite similar to the previous one. It detects the type of technique that has been followed, variations in domains, IPs, MX, I guess, no, geolocation, and NS. Good. Platform we've developed takes these two tools as a basis and it moves them forward, trying to detect all those cases of spoofing or phishing we mentioned, so in a simpler way, in a more visual way, to try to deal with it. The architecture itself that we've used would be using two different databases, one of which is based basically on, this is a relational one, is based on .s databases, and then MongoDB, all the results that are produced, so the reports are stored there. Framework is Django, you probably know it, and helps you integrate different programming languages such as Ruby or Python. There are different technologies And here you have it. This is the video for the tool. We first analyzed INCIBE with all TLDs, .com, net, or info and s. It takes 19 minutes to detect it, and 54 typo records, 9 for IDN, in a total of 959. Oh, this is such a small print. Here you see the percentage for each record. This is Cybersquatting, and you see all the results for all the data that's been gathered. Same as with your crazy. Here you see another function kicking in that is adding all the information regarding domains. So who is and everything else. Geolocation of the specific IP address where it's located, and well, I rushed through it. And then a few more links to check virus total, Reaper, and others. There is a screenshot for the website itself that can help you later on analyze whether there is a scam, a domain scam or not. And you see that there are many non-active, and well, it analyzes both active and inactive, and it compares different typos and type variations, not just to cover only a few those that are registered, but cover also those that are not registered. This is IDN. We also look into it, and it gives you information on that given IDN domain, each of them actually. Extra info. Then, second analysis, just by combining CyberCamp and .s, by screenshots and geolocations, and it looks into it, and you see 6 minutes of analysis, and it's found 6 records, if I actually read it right, and well, it's gone now, but again, it gets information regarding the domain, location. Here, it is just about combining potential threats to cybercamp.s, both registered or inactive. Now you've seen the way we've worked with these tools, how we've tried to make things easier. The source of it all, in order to have it done on .s, you've seen there are catch-ups, and getting information is a bit more complicated. You might need to get it out of a PDF. And as Iván said, for RISP, if you have the file, what we do is list it all and grab it. We grabbed it with caixa.s, and what they've done is take care of typos. There's one registered for Caixa and another one for other mixes or combinations. They've conducted a study, as you might know, and they've tried to cover it all. This is how it's done manually before it's automated. We get data from RISC, and these are the domains that are registered, the entity name, and the tax number or ID. And once we have the tax ID, that's the search. We pull the thread. As with an investigation, I have a starting point, that's the name, and keep looking and see if there are other names that are left outside. And so what they've done downstairs, they've done down there, and we grab it and count the lines, and it's over 300 combinations at least. At least that's what we thought, and compared to other companies, this is actually quite an effort to get this .s domain narrowed down. Levenstein distance. Well, if I grab it, I might finish or not. Will I find all the solutions? Well, this way we can be fast track in looking for solutions, and we can have this algorithm that says from casa to cala, that's Spanish. These are quite similar, or cala and calle in Spanish. So if you've got the whole RISP database, if you go through the whole file, this would be a first approach to the problem. And that's what we've done so far. And with CAISA, you've seen we got Levenstein 0, 1, 2, 3 characters distance, long distance. CAISA is the same, so 100% similarity. So we found the same, but then Laisha, 1 to CAISA. So 1 to CAISA, well, for an analyst out of 1.8 million, it would take them a bit longer, but this can be done fast track and it uplifts later data. So to find out what's good, what's evil, and etc. You see rates as well. That way you can get an idea of www.kaisa.s, and dot is quite a technique used for mistaking the making the user feel mistaken. So we have this portal that we've released, and I'll show it to you now so that you can test it, and you have automated it all. To have access, it's Squatting.es, and as we were saying, for Twitter and Telegram, you have it there in case of questions. You can ask us anything you want, and other approaches. So, Iván, can you open it up?
Vale, aquí lo tenemos, o sea, si buscamos INCIBE.
So, if we search for INCIBE, we can find it.
Vaya, se nos ha descuadrado. Esto es lo típico del directo, pero vamos, ya os digo, lo dejamos disponible.
So, it is available now.
Perfecto. Muchas gracias.
So, perfect. Thank you very much for the setting. So, type INCIBE, please, and set the distance to 2. Rate percentage 50% if possible. And here you can see one of the solutions. The other one that Iván showed you is a bit offline now, but this one we wanted you to make it open to you so that you can use it if you feel curious about it. And it also explain how you can do it, how you can handle the information.
Information of everything that it is legit, because I can see someone scanning it, downloading the file, so want to do things that are not that evident. So therefore what we did was just to take it out, to use it for good, to give a good use to it. That information, we enrich it. We gather IP address to find out whether the game is the game that we are registering, whether it belongs to the organization, and we will see results filtered. So you can match the search term with the hit. So this is a meta version, so if there is any error, any mistake, please let us know. So please mention that or let us know through the Telegram channel or on Twitter. So please spot mistakes or errors and please let us know. And here you see, you can test it if you want, because it is available. INCIBE.es, subaddress IP. So these are enriched data. So when it comes to doing research, it is good to have DNS servers, IPs, to see what are the domains shared by an IP. And the idea in the future is that from an IP to gather, to search all the domains or the mail servers. So here down below we see where to get information from. Well, these are the typical sources that we'll use, various total domain tools. So to find out about the IP, what country, where it is, and the same for abuses or misuses. So geolocation. In this case, this tells you gives you the coordinates. These are data from RIP or from other open sources. We trust we trust them. If there is any data which is not accurate, we try to gather it. In terms of screenshots, it is good to have it as an evidence and as historic data. We have not implemented it in this version, not yet, because, well, stories and make it an historic, it is difficult. So for whatever reason, we didn't have perhaps the space. We did it internally, but we did not publish it. So any suggestions for any other functionalities are always welcome. Now we move on to the presentation. All right, so next steps now. So with, well, this needs optimization. This is just a version. Hopefully you find it helpful. For optimized typos, you can also play around with it. You know that some domains add the www. Some of them are very curious, and then another functionality, alerts on email. If every time it detects matching a coincidence, it would be good for you to receive an alert on your email. Then bitsquatting module, you need to transfer, to switch all the characters to a bit, and then to see where is the difference. So it is easy to do it, but we just didn't do it because we didn't have the time. Research modules, it's about locating reverse IPs, MX, NS. So this is good because sometimes, for instance, if you are aware of a malicious IP, you want to find out about other domains that are associated with it. If we had it in our database, we could tell you what are the domains that were related to that IP address or to those MX. If you look it up on Google, you don't find it. But if we were to have information about all the domains in Spain, we could tap into that info. Then in domain information, historical domain information, sometimes you know that a domain is used for an illicit activity, then they change the domain, then they say, well, nothing has occurred here because this is public information. We want to cache it and to store it. The same goes for domain screenshots. So as good as having text, it's good to have visual and image of what it looked like. Now, exporting results to PDF. Well, sometimes you can copy the table, but and then make it a PDF, but it is very good to have a CSV, and it's also good to have an API for consultation, just in case you want to run a consultation to find out whether our identity is being compromised or not, and then other suggestions and requests. So it is good to see what comes to mind, whether you have you ended up in a Russian portal for selling and buying drugs. It is important to monitor, to follow up on those links. So it is good to hear from you prior or previous experiences that you had in this regard. And it is good to store that, and then we will have a box for suggestions so that we can learn from you. And then the idea, response incidents. We are not incident response. We are not heroes, superhero. If you detect an abuse of domain, please mention that to INCIBE, so there are official channels of communication to report misuse of domain. So there is a CERT-C, we also have INCIBE, and incident response should be legal. They are legal experts, and please consult as to what to do in these cases. And questions, comments For those of you who are streaming us, this is the Telegram channel address and the hashtag, and we will try to resolve any questions and doubts that you may have.
¿Alguna pregunta?
Any questions? So, those of you who followed us, yeah, that's good. It's good to hear so many hands up. If you have doubts or questions about the technical part of our presentation, so no questions on Telegram. Let's take a look at Twitter. So we will answer your questions, your comments later on. We will be very happy to do it. So, questions now in the room? Come on. Go for it. No questions? All right, no questions. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope that you liked it.